Alright guys, well since I have my football jerseys background, I'll be talking about NFL today. Nice John Elway authentic 1997 throwback with the Mitchell and Ness authentic Peterson and a kind of old, I guess you could say crappy beat up Michael Vick jersey. So that's not the highest end of my jerseys, but yeah, I don't usually make too many NFL offseason videos because unlike the NBA, which has the huge free agency dilemma with Melo, LeBron, Bosh, Wade hitting the market, there's so much talk about that. The NFL doesn't really have big free agent splashes like that. So anyway, tonight was the unveiling of the 10 to 1 in the top 100 players. I think that's a huge part of the offseason. It really shows the fans and everybody else who's great in the league. So, we saw at 10 the tight end slash wide receiver. He's currently fighting it to get more money for a franchise tag. Jimmy Graham, something that'll come along the bottom line on your TVs a lot. It's Jimmy Graham is, really trying to get that wide receiver spot to make more money on his franchise tag. Because a franchise tag is where it's a 1 year sign. You can't get traded. Only one player can be on franchise tag per year for team. Your salary has to be in the top 5 of your position. So obviously the goal of a player is to find a position that has highest possible average top 5 salary. And that's why he's fighting for wide receiver. At 9, was 9 was AJ Green from Cincinnati. A guy who's not blazing fast, not the most strong guy, definitely very long and tall at 6'4". He is just such a smooth route runner, a great pass catcher, and I think the Bengals are lucky to have a guy like him because Andy Dalton definitely isn't a top 5 quarterback, maybe not even a top 8 quarterback, but he has a very good wide receiver like AJ Green, and he can hit him when he's open, and that's all he needs with AJ, because AJ's smooth route running can lead to him getting open a lot. Okay, so at number 8, we saw Jamar Charles from the Chiefs. High school track star. Guy's got a ton of speed. Andy Reid doesn't like to run the ball that much, as I saw in Philadelphia. He was our coach, but luckily Charles was talented enough that he was able to break out and really show the league what he can do as a player. At number 7, it was, I believe, Sherman and Breeze were 7 and 6, so I'll just go over them both. Sherman, trash talker, big talker, but he can lock guys down. And he's really another guy he's fast, obviously, and he's got elite speed, but he doesn't really have burning speed. I think Patrick Peterson of the Arizona Cardinals is really the most talented quarterback in the league, and if I had to pick one to be on my team, it'd be him. Patrick Peterson, a top 10 pick, I believe he was number 5 coming out of college, out of LSU, a huge recruit, just an incredible athlete. And Richard Sherman, he wasn't even a first-round pick. He's definitely an interesting player. He's just a weird fit that ended up being dominant in the NFL with a weird skill set. And Drew Brees was a guy who wasn't a huge draft pick anyway, drafted by the Chargers, then later signed with the Saints in free agency. But he is a great, he really is a great quarterback. Even though I'm really a Manning and Brady guy, I can't deny the fact that he is a great quarterback. His Saints are usually a very good team. Obviously, 2 years ago they were hit with the penalties from the bounty scandal, and they ended up missing the playoffs. But they are back into elite team stature. They beat my Eagles in the playoffs last year, and that showed me again how good they are. Number 5, my Eagles running back, Shady McCoy. The Eagles are a perfect fit for LeSean because he is a guy who's not really gonna plow through somebody to get those tough yards, at the line of scrimmage, but the Eagles have such athletic and such incredible offensive linemen like Jason Peters, Evan Mathis, Jason Kelsey, Todd Hermans, and Lane Johnson. That's their line from left to right. And they're all, Jason Kelsey, Evan Mathis, great, arguably the best at their position. Incredible run blockers, incredible blockers, very good athletes for their size and position. Jason Peters, obviously, Pro Bowl left tackle, an incredible lineman. Lane Johnson, 4th overall pick in the draft. And Harriman's is solid. The Eagles' line is intact. Lane Johnson just got hit with a 4-game suspension, but I'm sure they'll work through it as a line. I hope no other injuries occur. If no other injuries occur, then LaShawn McCoy should be fine just with the right tackle misplacement. But when the line falls apart, Shady's numbers really do decline. He's a guy who needs the line to get him into open space, and then he can use his agility and moves to avoid tacklers. And however, he led the league in rushing, so when he is behind that great line, he is extremely dominant. At 4, AP, Adrian Peterson. Great. I mean, he is just the freight train, the agility monster, the speed guy. He can do it all. He came back from such a terrible injury to win MVP when he wasn't even supposed to play that year. That's why he's just such a special football player overall. Number 3 was Tom Brady, a 3-time Super Bowl champion. 8 out of his 11 years as a starting quarterback, the New England Patriots have reached the AFC Championship game, which, if any of you don't know, that's the Final Four in football, and that's just incredible. There are just 8-3 in years of reaching the AFC Championship game. The last 3 years they've done it, they are just, there are 3 straight reigning years of going to the Final Four. They are just such an incredible franchise, and the franchise player there is that incredible quarterback. So anyway, at number 2, Calvin Johnson, Megatron, such a dominant, incredible wide receiver. I mean, he is physically, he's a freak. They knew that coming out. 2nd overall pick in the draft. They knew he was going to be a mismatch for every single team, and he ended up being that. And more. I mean, he is just big play guy. He can beat you with speed, agility, and especially with size. And he is just an incredible freak athlete, and he is just impossible to match up against. Number 1, obviously, Broncos Peyton Manning. 55 touchdowns, broke the all-time record by 5, broke the all-time yards record previously held by another top 10 player, Drew Brees. He is, man, I really wish he could just wrap it together in the postseason and the Super Bowl and finally dominate some teams, because he's hands down the most dominant regular season quarterback. There's no question about it. 5 MVPs in the regular season. No other player has more than 2. He's got 5. No other player has more than 2. I'll say it again. He is the best regular season quarterback without any doubts. But postseason, he just continues to struggle. He did win 1 Super Bowl, and now he's been to 3 Super Bowls. So it's not a terrible postseason resume. A lot of quarterbacks aspire to win a Super Bowl and to go to 3. But just the fact that he just keeps coming up short year after year, except for he did beat the Bears in the Super Bowl when he was with Indianapolis, and that's great. And I'm very happy about that, but I just wish he could wrap it together because he is a great player. So anyway, to wrap it up, we got Manning, Megatron, Brady, Peterson, McCoy, Brees, Sherman, Charles, Green, Graham. These are the top 10 players in the NFL today, and that really shows you what our league, the cream of the crop, is made of. And right now I think the league's in a good place with great players leading the way. That's all I have for you guys today. Stay tuned for my NBA videos. I'm going to be doing power rankings soon for NFL and NBA, so stay tuned for that.